And this isn't going to let out so much air, it's terrible.
Okay, ready?
All right. Okay.
So after the Superbird restoration and sale from a few weeks ago, the team at North American Motor Car called me back to one of their 3 locations to clean up an engine that had just been removed from a 1991 Defender 110 that was in the shop for a customer rebuild. Now, before they start the project, they asked me if I could clean it up a bit, and I think I have the right technique for the job. But before we get into the heavy ice blasting and grime removal off this engine, take a quick second to subscribe to my channel to be notified when the next barn find, or the next supercar detail, or disaster restoration episode airs at Ammo NYC. Your support is what keeps us cleaning cars and filming the process. With that, we needed to put the engine on the dolly and then load it up on the NAMC trailer and bring it over to the studio. Once we arrived after the short trip, Steve and I pushed it off the ramp and into the shop, but it is much heavier than it looks. Now, as you can see, it is a very used engine. There's normal oil and grease and grime stuck to pretty much everything inside the head, around the engine block, on the oil pan, and so on. So with ice blasting all the rage these days, I wanted to hyper learn as much as I could from an expert in the field. Now this guy right here, that is Eric Downing from New Ice. He stayed at the studio for about a week to teach me the truth about ice blasting and if it's something detailers really need or is it just nice to have. In the upcoming episodes with Eric, we talk about sand blasting versus ice blasting. That's a super cool one. Make sure you check that out. Power washing versus ice blasting, the top 10 things you need to know before getting into the dry ice cleaning business, and how to ice blast intricate and sensitive areas like this one underneath the hood of a Datsun 200 SX. Again, be sure to subscribe to find out when they air. Okay, so we're back at the studio. We got the engine here. I'm wearing my bunny suit. I got my glasses. You told me to get prepared. What are we about to do here?
We're going to get dirty. We've got a really dirty engine. It's got a lot of tramp oil onto it. There's some light duty things, and what we want to do first is we want to just take a light piece of compressed air and blow it out so that we get it ready for dry ice blasting and we don't have airborne contaminants.
All right, so people watching right now are going to say, well, why don't you just disassemble this, sandblast it, or take it to that hot water tank and dunk it in and do that kind of thing?
Right, the customer's requirements are they don't want to disassemble it, and there's nobody that's got the dunk tank that's anywhere close here. So, and you can't pressure wash it because you don't want water to get into it, and sand is the same thing. So dry ice blasting, leaving no secondary residue, is a great way to clean it off, to take off the gasket material and all the gunk.
So step 1 is pretty simple. Blow out all the loose stuff to minimize the flying debris when the big guns come out in a few minutes. For step 2, plug in the air hose and connect the whip check, which is a safety strap. Why do you have a safety strap?
So in case this line were to come off, it would come flying off and it could hit you in the head and kill you.
Then start the compressor.
Put on my hearing protection. Glasses are on. Grab my insulated gloves.
Next, grab some ice and pour it into the hopper, and don't forget to turn the ball valve to open on the compressor.
Turn on the air. I've got a full pressure of 150 psi that's on there. I make sure that my feed wheel is off all the way, so I'm not feeding any ice. And then I'm going to hit the blaster, the blast valve, so that I let just dry air come through and clean this thing out because it would have moisture from the last time we used it.
Got it.
So I'm just going to grab the gun, point it outside with no ice going out of it, and pull the trigger. And now we're ready to begin blasting.
While I don't think ice blasting is absolutely perfect for every situation, this one here, meaning cleaning a grimy engine block with an ice blasting tool and having the compressor and all the tools, it is absolutely effective. It is much faster, and it's actually less expensive in terms of time when you're in a situation like this. During the process, Eric was giving me a ton of pointers on how to best ice blast, and in this case, I was actually too far away. You have to get pretty close with the ice blaster for it to be effective in that particular area. And for the record, I put a full face shield on because of course, the intense junk flying all around me, but I found a lot of things hitting me in the mouth and in the chin and that sort of thing. So if you have a full face shield, it could be really helpful. Then we decided to clean the springs and the lifters, which would be disassembled later anyways. Oh, by the way, if you haven't figured it out already, this is a fantastic way to make a lot of friends and become really tight with your neighbors. As you can see, when we were done with head number 1, it looks 1,000 times cleaner than it did before. After about 15 or 20 minutes, we then needed to reload our reservoir with dry ice again. So here's what I've learned so far. Cleaning heavy grime from engine and aluminum parts is easy, cost-effective, and definitely time-efficient compared to scrubbing for multiple reasons. One is the intricacy of the part itself, meaning creases and crevices can be super annoying to do by hand. Number 2, the material allows for extreme temperature fluctuations from warm to cold rapidly, helping the grime freeze and blast away much easier than, let's say, a less conductive substrate like plastic. So engine grime is sort of like the perfect example or the perfect storm of ice blasting positive qualities, but also keep in mind that it's not all peaches and cream. You still have to have a huge compressor, I mean like ginormous compressor in most cases, readily available dry ice, which isn't like going to 7-Eleven and sort of just getting some ice. It's dry ice, it's much different. We're gonna talk about that later. Patient neighbors, or at least a very dirty workshop, and of course the machine itself, which can be rather expensive. So I'm not exactly convinced it's practical for a weekend warrior, nor did anyone try to convince me that it was. But if this type of cleaning of heavy grease, grime, and sort of thing is a daily occurrence with you, then this machine is a must. Okay, well, we're all done, and this thing looks absolutely amazing. We got a little ambiance going on over here, but give me the bottom line for someone thinking about doing this to their engine.
An hour's worth of work and $50 worth of dry ice. That's the bottom line. You could have spent 8 hours with scrapers and chemicals and everything else trying to hand clean this, to get into all the cracks and the crevices with a rag. This is so much easier. And that's where dry ice really excels, is cleaning up nasty, heavy, gross dirt and coatings. You know, all the stuff that was on here, it's gone.
Kind of exciting to do.
Yeah. It's always satisfying to see the results while you're operating.
If you guys have any questions, you know where to find me, ammonyc.com. As always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.